What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Chess Giants. Your boy Solo. Today's video, we're running up another Masterclass session, playing a 10+0 game and really just going through every single thought, variation, idea. Here we got a Sicilian Defense. Last video, we went with the Owens Defense, right? Well, we went with the Owens Defense against e4. Now our opponent is playing this move of c5, right? So against this, I'm going to play the Delayed Wing Gambit. Okay, this is a very underrated response for white, kind of preparing this b4 push. The best move here for black is g6. Okay, looking to fianchetto this bishop and either rook on a8. But you know, if white plays a move like e6 or knight c6, they can fall into trouble very quickly. Even if they do play g6, you know, I think white's okay here. We're gonna play knight c3 and look to play rook b1 and kind of support this pawn here. In this case, we're actually eyeing a7 as well. So, you know, just kind of a fun way to get an imbalanced position. This is actually the best line that black has. I don't think they needed to take on c5 there, but that being said, this is definitely the best way for black to go. But they're going to get very unusual positions and games they're not used to, right? So, just as an example, right here, black played the move knight f6. This simply runs into e5 though, right? And now this knight's on the run. It has to go right back, right? So, you get a position like this. You got an active rook. You got a pawn on b4 and e4. It can be hard for black to navigate this. I think in this case, there's a couple options. I have ones, you know, both of these moves are decent. Knight f3 as well, honestly. I might just go knight f3, you know, develop the piece and defend the pawn. Wait to commit on d4. d5 is played. In that case, I will play d4, kind of lock up the center. e6, I have knight b5, eyeing d6 in that case. e6, knight b5, eyeing d6 with the check. So black again, having to be very careful on how to navigate this. Bishop comes out, I will simply offer a trade. We get a trade. I'm eyeing queen b5 now. a6. Okay, so a6 here, obviously trying to stop that move. Okay, in this case, I think we're just going to go with castling kingside. One key idea here, guys, in this kind of system is to, you know, once this a file breaks open, you know, there's actually, you know, oftentimes in this opening here, black didn't do it, but if black ever accepts the gambit, you know, sometimes we do have opening traps and stuff, but if we don't, we can oftentimes slide both of our rooks to the queen side and kind of get a reverse Banco Gambit type game, right? The Banco Gambit, black gives up a pawn, but in return, they get long-term advantages. This is kind of what we're going for with the Delayed Wing Gambit much of the time. On top of that, the opponent has to be very careful, right? Because again, e6, we have knight b5, and if this rook is on a1 without a pawn in the way, we can still play this move, right? I see this move all the time. I see black playing b5 all the time, in which case you simply win a pawn, and I see opportunities to play knight b5 ourselves, eyeing d6. Notice if you take, we win the exchange, right? There's a bunch of ways black can fall into trouble here. Two of their pieces have already went backwards. Yeah, it just gives us a fun game, right? So bishop f8 is played. I mean, here, bishop g5 looks fun. Yeah, we might just go with that. Attacking the queen. Queen d7 is seen. Yeah, so knight d6, takes, queen takes, knight e5, not too great. Okay, so we'll slide our rook over, defend this pawn. Again, black can't take this without losing their rook, so knight c6 is probably the way to go. Even then, the knight's not threatened at all. h6 is played, however. In that case, we'll actually just slide our bishop in there. That actually may have been a move the last turn. Kind of getting this kind of setup, right? Followed by knight e5. So that's another idea you can use, kind of creeping your bishop in there. Knight c6 is played. In that case, I mean, we'll play knight e5. So we got really advanced pawns here. We'll bring this knight back to d4. And we have two rooks locked and ready to go. On the queen side of the board, b5 coming. Rook c4. Yeah, we'll play b5. By the way, guys, I do think I missed an opportunity there with bishop f6, so we'll take a look at that at the end of this video and see if I drop the ball on that one. Black there kind of forced me to play a good move. I think they, if I play that first, I might have a little bit more time. We'll see. We'll take a look at it. But okay, b5. I still feel good about my position here, though. I mean, yeah, bishop c5 is played. In that case, we have some options. I mean, I'm almost tempted to just take this guy. It looks crazy, but I'm almost tempted to just do it. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't know. It looks fun. We're doing it. Pawn takes a6. Okay, so yeah, my idea there is that they take, I have potential pawn takes pawn ideas, but here we just throw in a check, right, against that king. And we're winning. Okay, so yeah, let's take a quick look and see kind of, in this kind of position. So yeah, the computer likes c4 there, kind of breaking up in the position. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes with computers, I honestly take things with a grain of salt. I mean, even with my own students, when we're analyzing games, sometimes the computer could go c4, some kind of, and sometimes there's even weirder moves than c4. Sometimes you see a position and it's just like, why did the computer play that, right? Sometimes you just see weird computer moves and they're not really human-like at all, right? So sometimes you got to take computer analysis with a grain of salt. h6. It actually turns out bishop f6 was a blunder here. Interesting. I wonder, so what's the, I mean, we're still fine, but yep, pawn takes, knight c6, knight e5. Yeah, so I guess the computer just wanted me to hold on to my bishop there, which makes sense. I was wondering if bishop f6 here would work instead of rook b1, but yeah, black just takes, and they're going to castle, and knight c6 probably, right, to stop knight e5. So yeah, looks like bishop f6 was I don't know if it's a double blunder. I don't know if that's a blunder. Maybe it is a blunder. Maybe it is a blunder. I don't know. What I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to brag. What I'm trying to say is that I've done worse moves in my life. That's what I'm trying to say. I've played much worse, which is not a good thing. Knight c6, knight e5. Yeah, throw the knight in there. Here I didn't really like knight takes e5. So up to that point, we're good. Pawn takes. Yeah, and then, yeah. So here, I mean, yeah, rook takes d4 is interesting, but my plan here was to take on b7, right? Just because we're one step away from making a queen. And my idea here was that if you take on b7, we can take with the rook, finish with a mate, right? This king's just stuck. So either black's going to have to castle or lose a bunch of material, right? So, but yeah, I think going back, yeah, I think from the just looking at this game kind of overall, I think playing the Delayed Wing Gambit, even when they go with the best line of g6, I mean, if you just break through with b4, play solid. By the way, I don't think black needs to take there. I think it's best if they just continue developing and make us put our rook on b1, but or push to b5, right? Try to make us lock it up. But if you take on b4, we're getting a ton of advantages. We're getting an open file. We're getting, b5 ideas, as we saw. We had e5 ideas, kicking that knight back. There's nowhere else for this knight to go. I mean, if you go to h5, we just play d4, and we're one step away from trapping this minor piece, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen wrong. On top of that, it happens in a lot of lines where we get some kind of position like this, where the pawns are kind of locked up. But if black's not careful, we're gonna have ideas on b5 in some sense or fashion. Sometimes it's the knight, sometimes it's capturing off a piece. But the whole idea is that this pawn can't take without this rook hanging, right? So we're eyeing knight d6, and yeah, it looks like here, there's some ways to go. c4 is a good move. I guess from my human perspective, it seems as if black can just take and play knight c6, but I guess from there we play rook d1 and break the game open. So or maybe put it on b1 as well. So yeah, c4 is obviously a good move. I'm not arguing with the computer. I'm just saying it's not super human, I guess. I think a more human move here, which it did kind of like, was bishop f4. I think this is a more of a common idea, kind of eyeing knight d6, because whenever we do get knight d6 check in, black's going to have to take, and then we have a pass pawn, right? And this is just crushing for white. So this is another idea for white as well. But as we saw, things worked out. We kind of used the more common idea of bringing our rooks over to the queen side, threw our knight in there, and then from this point, just broke open that queen side. I think black there really needed to make an effort to castle king side as quickly as they can, because without that, we're just able to kind of break the position open and go after that king.